Well, we're going to close this out with a little word from Sean Powers, the man behind Bobby Burns, accompanied by our guest, Orion Peterson Jones.
Yeah, this is how it works, right? You follow a little pattern, right? I mean, you wake up in the morning, you have a little pattern that you do, right? You get up. And sometimes you might wake up and you're not be able to get up because you might be dead. And there's that. I woke up and I was dead. Now, this magazine is called The Sun, right? Who's ever read The Sun? Yeah, it's a really interesting, and they always have a subject matter. And this is from 2024, and it's about ghosts. This is a woman, Ingrid Noyes. You might know her. She's from Fort Bragg, California. Wrote this. When I taught music at an elementary school, I prepared a lesson around Halloween. There were some Jehovah's Witness children in my class, and I was told they would be excluded that day if I was to use Halloween songs. I decided to bring in songs that alluded to the holiday, but were vague enough to not be pegged as Halloween songs about pumpkins, for example. I also decided to sing them a song called "Bringing Mary Home," about a man driving down a lonely road on a dark and stormy night. He sees a little girl on the side of the road and stops to give her a ride. But when they arrive at her house and he opens the car door to let her out, she isn't there. A woman comes out of the house, thanks him for his kindness, and explains that she and her husband lost their daughter in a car accident 13 years earlier. Every year since on that day, a different stranger has come to the house thinking they were bringing home a little girl. When I sang this song for a group of second graders, they listened rapidly and were silent after I finished. Then one said, "Sing that again." So I did, and they started asking questions and sharing stories about ghosts. Either ones they had seen or ones that they heard about from their family. This went on until class was over, and I never did get to that pumpkin song or any of the others. The same thing happened to all my classes that day. All I had to do was ask, "Have any of you ever seen a ghost?" And they would share their stories and questions. It became clear that children need to talk about death. The topic is so taboo in our society that we either avoid it or we talk around it. And really, that's the whole thing about death, is we're all scared of death, you know? And the thing about these stories is they're written by just people that send them in, and they have a subject like listed like for the next array of subjects, and so people will be like, "Oh wow, I want to write a story for that." And so they send them in, and then they print this. It's pretty amazing. I really like that concept. I just had a friend die a few months ago. His name was Tai Chi Chris, and he was a really unique person. He was very quiet, really super smart, and he actually lived right down the street from you, right on the corner there in that big, tall house. I don't want to give away where Shay lives, but down the street from you is a really tall house. And in that backyard of the tall house was a big, round circle of ungrown grass. And I used to go visit Tai Chi Chris, and sometimes he'd be out in the backyard doing his thing, you know. And he would be talking while he was doing it. He was a Tai Chi master, you know, and he knew everything about Tai Chi. I mean, the guy was amazing, and he spent his whole life studying the power of Chi and raising your higher energy levels. And he knew how to talk about it while he was doing these moves and, you know, doing all this stuff in this one spot, and was always worn down because he did it so much in that one spot. It was a circle of his truth. And he was always, and he would talk as he was doing it. And he got really sick a few years ago, or I guess I didn't see him for a long time, but he became really sick and he was dying. And he wound up in a hospital with a respirator, and he was losing his ability to breathe. And he actually died. He was like on a respiratory machine that kept him alive. And his brother was kind of in charge of his life then, because Tiny Chris, he was refusing to die. And he had spent all those years studying the masters of how to regurgitate that life force. And he was that close to dying, and they almost took him off the machine. And he must have hurt because he started reviving himself. He was like fucking testing the thing that he studied his whole life. And he was at that moment where he could do it because he was dying, and he started coming back to life again. And the doctors were like, he's coming back to life again. He's like, but he had been struggling so long with dying. He was his last attempt to try this thing that he had been studying for his whole life to revive himself and come back to life. And he was doing it, and they were just like, Chris, just give up. You proved your point. The chi is in you. You can bring yourself back to life, but you're dying. You're that close to dead. And so they decided to not let him do that, because he never would have made it anyways. But he studied for so long to his final moment was, I'm going to live again, even though I'm dying and almost dead. And so this is to you, Tai Chi Chris, who you proved your point that there is a force outside of yourself that you can conjure up, and it's within our realm at all times. And we just have to accept that sometime you're going to just have to die. And so Tai Chi Chris died. That's the end of the story. Thank you.
Thank you guys all for coming out. This has been the Something Different show. We've got Orion Peterson-Jones, Rachel Bell, Paul Pavino here in the front row. We've got the Whatnots, Shirley and Cam. We've got Sean Powers as Bobby Burns. I'm Shay Freelove. And one more shout out to the Exit Theater, Christina and Richard. Thank you everyone for coming out, and we had a great time. Hope you did too.
Thank you for coming.